So let's talk about something. Recently, I have seen a whole lot of posts on the social media. I've seen a whole lot of articles on the social media, on the internet, speaking about the girl child, speaking about how much we should train up the girl child in the way of the Lord, in the way they should go, how much the female should carry themselves, should burn for Jesus, should be decent, how the female child should have all the ethics in the world, should have all the trainings. The girl child days should be a carrier of. What about the male child? Please, I want to ask, what about what happens to the male child being a godly seed? What happens to the male child being well trained, well mannered, well cultured? What happens to the male child going through series of training? What happens to paying attention to the male child? What happens to cultivating values, moral values in the male child? If I am a male child in this kind of setting, in the family that perhaps the parents just pay attention to the female child, they are so much interested in preparing the female child for the world, preparing the female child to know how to master her territory, to become this altar burning for Jesus, and you are not paying attention to me as a male child, like I am not supposed to be carried along. This thing is not meant for me. It is not meant for me to love the Lord with all of my heart. It is not meant for me to serve God. It is not meant for me to learn home ethics, to be well cultured, to be well mannered. Damn, I tell you, I am not going to be happy with you as a parent. I am not going to be happy with you as a society. Why are all of the focus on the female child and everyone is leaving the male child behind? And I tell you this, the scripture says one thing about the incorruptible seed. This is one truth about the incorruptible seed. No matter how incorruptible you want to be, as long as you're still going to be entangled with the corruptible seed, what happens? It's only a matter of time for this corruptible seed to corrupt the so-called incorruptible seed. And what does the scripture say about when you pour an old wine into a new wine skin? Damn, it is going to burst and both the old and the new wine will spill away. I tell you today, please, my society, my world, the ones who are all about the female child, training up the female child, making sure that the female child is an altar for Jesus, you're going to have to keep yourself, you're going to have to learn all the morals, know how to burn for God, have all the moral ethics in the world. Please, let us do well to carry the male child along. Because these ones are going to grow up in the way of the Lord with all the teachings and the morals. And as long as they have to entangle themselves with the male, if I have you as a friend, as a male child, and I am burning for Jesus, no matter how much that I want to burn, it is going to take a matter of time for you to have to dim my light, for you to have to corrupt my seed. They are not going to live out in a world that does not have something to do with the male. If this generation is going to strive in holiness, in the way of the Lord, in manners, in whatsoever upbringing you must think of, then we must carry the female and the male child along. None should be left aside. If the female child is going to be a lover of God, if the female child is going to be well trained in home ethics, is going to be burning for Jesus, is going to be serve the Lord in the days of your youth, if the female child is going to be whatsoever and remain in it without being corrupted, then the male child has to be carried along. What happens to the male? That's my question. What happens to the male child? Please, we all need Jesus. We all need to be trained. We all need all of the things you think that the female child needs. All of us need it. All of us has to carry it. All of us has to have it. We all have to enjoy this thing. Don't know what to say again, but please, I beg of you, if you are making any advocate for the female child to be whatsoever we want them to be in the Lord, in the world, and to have whatsoever training they have, then the male child is not an item to be left behind. That's my take.